Hello and welcome to the Football Revolution. I'm your host, Gio. Thanks for joining us. The A-League Women's Champions have been crowned. 6 teams gone, but 6 still remain in the quest for the men's Holy Grail, and plenty more to talk about. And alongside me to get the job done is my co-host, VIG. G'day, mate.
Good evening. Right alongside you.
I was going to say, it's been a while since we're in the same
We're rubbing
studio.
shoulders.
Yeah, I was going to say COVID's really stuffed things up for us in regards to being a dynamic duo side by side. Usually it's from across the other side of the country. But yeah, it's nice to have you alongside me, and I know you got me back.
Yeah, good to be here.
All right, so Central Coast Mariners secure a second place finish with the youngest average squad age in the A-League. Already a fantastic achievement, but even more impressive is Monty's faith in the youth.
Yeah, huge. And, it's been a project for him and his coaching staff. So they've worked with players, right through the youth ranks in the academy there and brought them all the way up to the first team. And now they're paying dividends with that.
Yeah, look, it's been very enjoyable watching them this year, and they're one of the teams that are more easy on the eye. And so, full credit to Monty, Sergio, and everybody at the Mariners. And look, we'll see if they can go even one better and win the championship in the coming weeks. But they wait now for a semi-final clash against obviously the winner of one of the elimination finals. Moving on to Mile Sajovski extends his time at Macarthur Bulls, signing on until the end of the 24-25 season. Good call, bad call, or no? Say nothing on it.
It's an interesting call because his audition at the back end of this season wasn't great. So it's surprising, but maybe they see something there. Maybe he needs a fresh start. He needs to start with preseason. Bring his own players in and start building something there because they need to change something at Macarthur. They need to do something. They need to, get back on the horse, so to speak, and they need to mix things up a bit and pretty much just start from scratch again, I think.
Yeah, look, I like Mille, but I think they jumped the gun. He's got a whole season next year to prove. Halfway through the season, you could have said, yes, okay, we're heading in the right direction, or no, we're not. But to lock him in based on what we've seen so far this year, okay, he's got he's been sort of stuck with the cattle that was brought in by his predecessors. But even losing Uli, late in the season, I haven't seen anything that's excited me. So look, I hope he proves me wrong, and I hope he turns things around for the Macarthur fans and for the club. But at this point in time, I reckon they went a little bit early. Sydney FC was absolutely brilliant in breaking their 3-year hoodoo, but unfortunately a black cloud hovers above as the decision to sell the rights to Sydney meant Western United had to travel to Sydney instead of hosting the grand final in Melbourne. We'll never know if that would have changed the result, but the Sky Blues were a joy to watch and totally deserve the double.
Yeah, look, you can only play what's in front of you as a footballer, and Sydney were just brilliant. They just absolutely dominated Western United. Would there have been a different result if it was played in Melbourne? Potentially, who knows? But on the day, it's whoever shows up on the day, and Sydney showed up, and unfortunately, Western United didn't.
If anyone could find Danny Townsend, they could ask him because pretty much since that's happened, he's gone underground. No one can find him. Look, it was a decision that was made by them. And I think, look, if anything, I don't know if you saw today, there's been the announcement of a new CEO for the AFL. Gil McLaughlin will be handing over to him. I think his name's Matt Dillon or something along those lines. I'll be handing over to him during this transition. The way they did it today is the way you should be able to deliver news and be able to treat your fans properly. So if there's a lesson in today for the A-League, just do things right. Whether people like the news, don't like the news, at least tell them to their face. Tell them honestly in that way. They might not like the news, but they'll respect you the way that you delivered it. Super talented Melbourne City defender Jordan Boss looks set for a move to Europe with Belgian outfit KVC Westerlo. And in the process will probably break the transfer record for an Australian exiting the A-League. Other good news for him is that he has a Dutch passport through his father, so hopefully it helps the deal happen.
Yeah, look, there's been interest, from multiple clubs, from what I hear, and I think, if correct me if I'm wrong, but Westerlo may be part of that the City group. So I don't know if he's staying within the City group. I don't know if it'll be. It's interesting one, but look, he's definitely ready to go overseas and play in Europe. I think he had a stellar breakout year here, and he performed really well. He got himself into the Socceroos. Made his debut there for the national team, so I think he's ready for that next step overseas. He's got all the attributes, physical attributes to go overseas and succeed. But it's tough overseas too. There's tactical parts of the game that he can still improve on, and his defending as well. He's a great attacker. He's great with the ball at his feet. But there's other parts of his game. He's still young. There's other parts of his game that he still needs to improve and build on. And as long as he's going to a place where he's playing regularly, playing consistently, playing in a decent league over there as well. So he just needs to be doing all that. He's still young, still learning. But he definitely has a bright future ahead of him if he keeps his head on his shoulders.
Yeah, look, no doubt about it. It's a hard slog in Europe. It's quality leagues and it's very difficult. But based on the performance that he put in again against good Wanderers on the weekend and the attributes, as you said, that he has, it's only a matter of time before he breaks out of the city, so to speak, and gets himself a shot at somewhere in Europe. And look, he's as good as any Aussies that have gone overseas in the previous years of being a success. As we said, he's similar in balance in the way that Gareth Bale plays, and that's a big call. But we see similarities there. He's big, strong, fast. He strikes a good ball. So, hopefully he gets a good deal and can kick on, and that gives us another quality player for the Socceroos in the future. Perfect player update. The fans voted for a hybrid of both our players, but neither of us won outright, which we can talk about in more detail in the coming weeks when there's less football to chat about. Player escape room, Wellington Phoenix midfielder Clayton Lewis preparing to face Adelaide in Friday's elimination final joins us for a chat. We wrap up the A-League Women's Grand Final, Revolutionised Round-Up of the last round of men's action. And is there anything I didn't see? VIG.
I was just scrolling through Instagram before, and up popped Ruud van Nistelrooy doing a little dance in the dressing room with his PSV players.
Is he a better dancer or better player?
He was a bit stiff, I think.
Okay.
A bit of
he had the good dancers in the football realm.
He had the Peter Crouch robot sort of, action. But yeah, PSV beat Ajax in the Dutch Cup, so on penalties. So he was getting down and groovy in the change room with the lads.
Nice to see, isn't it? Goes to show, mate. It brings out the best or the worst dancing in anybody, but it's still a good way.
Still, you got to celebrate, don't you?
100%. So the A-League Women's Wrap. So Sydney shows that experience of being in finals counts even on the losing side as they crush Western United 4-0 with the double to Madison Haley, Captain Tobin helping herself to a goal, and Princess Abini adding a fourth from the spot. So amazing season for debutantes Western United, and even with the Golden Boot winner Hannah Keane leading the forward line, they just seemed to run out of gas, did they? Just not enough. Just amazing season. But as I said to you last week, I liked Western United a few weeks ago, but I said if the one team they don't want to play is Sydney with all the experience they have, and unfortunately Sydney got through, and I think that signed the death warrant for the Western United's fairy tale ending. But look, they'll learn from this and probably bounce back bigger and better next season.
Yeah, look, they haven't been there before. They probably played their grand final 2 weeks ago against Sydney in that semi-final, which sent them through to the grand final. So I think Sydney probably went away from that and had a good hard look at themselves, come back and beat Victory, make it to the grand final. And then I think just the experience of the players that they have in that squad that have been in and around the finals and in grand finals, in recent years. And they break their, 3-4 year hoodoo.
Yeah, I think it's 3 years.
I think it's 2019. I think it was against. I think it's Perth Glory in 2019.
I think Ante Uric has had three Premier's plates, but he's had 6 grand final apperances, and they've only won one up until then.
Not a good strike rate, but
no, it's not a great strike rate. But to be honest, making 6 finals is ridiculous, right? Like his stats are off the charts. So congratulations to him. Another one, and it's well deserved. I think it's weight of numbers, right? You're playing 7, winning 2s. Still fantastic. So it was only a matter of time before they added a second. But Sydney just the benchmark this season, and look, it sets up another hot season next year with with a Western United with a season under their belt. The Phoenix you expect would be better after a year, 1 year in the league, and there's some Victory and City. You expect
City and
want to bounce back.
Yeah, City and Victory. You're going to expect that they're going to be in the top 4 again next year, and really pushing for that championship because that's what they want at the end of the day. Yeah,
exciting, and we'll wait and see. My weekly wrap has been replaced by shout-out dedicating a weekly song to a team or a player for their good or bad performance. This week's shout-out goes to an Australian midfielder who won the French Cup final with his side Toulouse, Denis Genero. Unfortunately, he didn't feature in the final, but he contributed in the earlier rounds and has a winner's medal from a cup final in Europe, which is not easy to get your hands on. And the song we send to him is DJ Khaled's hip-hop track, All I Do Is Win.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody
We wish him all the best for the remainder of League One season and hope he continues playing minutes and doing well in France.
All he does do is win. They won League Two last year, got promoted, and now they've won the French Cup. So they're a club on the rise, a big club in France, and he's coming back from a long-term injury, so he's played a bit of a big part this season, but hopefully starts to get some more minutes in the back end of this season and leading into next year.
The A-League men's table, the final standings for the 2022-23 season. So Melbourne City on 55, Central Coast stealing second spot on 44 with their fantastic result in Adelaide. Adelaide in third on 42. The Wanderers a point further back on 41. Sydney FC on 38. And the Wellington Phoenix rounding out the top six with 35. City just proved too strong again without a win in 4 games. Adelaide stumbled to finish outside the top 2. The informed Mariners jumping them after taking 13 or 15 points in their run into the finals. The Wanderers are back in final football, which is a great result for the club, while Sydney and Wellington did enough to extend their seasons. The remaining pack were given plenty of chances to tag onto the top 6, but couldn't make the most of those opportunities, so don't deserve to be there. Brutal, but true.
Straight honesty from you there. I think that's all we give. There's no other way.
There's no sugarcoating at VIG.
But I think the top 6 probably deserve to be there more than the bottom 6.
On to our Revolutionised Round-Up, our only full review again for the remainder of the season, because it's the last round, full round of match fixtures with only 2 games or 2 elimination finals this week. So we select a match of the day each and a mini review for the other 4 games. The main game, we give the score, the goal scorers, the players of the game, the turning point, and what Coach Gio or VIG would have done to change the game. The first was the double header where the top 4 clashed in this great Friday night fixtures. Adelaide United hosting Central Coast Mariners. How did this one go?
Yeah, so this was my match of the day. God, it's going to be hard to pick a match of the day each next week. There's only 2 games, yeah?
Yeah, I know. We might just draw straws. Yeah.
This was my match of the round. Adelaide at home. They lost 4-1 to the Central Coast Mariners. The Mariners were just absolutely clinical. They were on fire. Goals to Marco Tullio in the 23rd, Benny Enkalolo in the 41st, Tullio again in the 57th, Harry Steele in the 87th to make it 4-0 at that time, and then Ryan Kiddo with a late consolation in the 93rd for Adelaide.
I think the Mariners were Tullio good.
They were absolutely Tullio with Adelaide, but that rolls into my player of the match was Marco Tullio. Scored 2 goals, could have had a hattie. He's actually never scored a professional hat-trick before, so I thought that was an interesting fact, and he had a goal disallowed as well, so could have had 3 on the night, but he was brilliant, and I think he's been one of the finds of the season in the league, along with Brian Kaltak at the back for the Mariners, who's been absolute rock for them.
Isn't it funny how you can be on a 10-game winning streak like Adelaide and they look like they could never lose again, right? They look like they were unstoppable. They could win everything.
Especially at home as well. Yeah.
Well, we're sitting there saying, look, if City slip up here, the streak they're on, they could go through and win the Premier's Plate. They all of a sudden have hit the world's biggest air pocket, and all of a sudden where they couldn't,
they're on free fall, aren't they?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then all of a sudden, the goals started to dry up, and then when they came back, they can't stop any. So yeah, look, it's just been a horror patch for them. So you would hope, as an Adelaide United fan, that at least they go out and try and find some of that form they had for that 10 weeks, because their last 3 weeks hasn't been good enough. So if they go out like that against a Phoenix team which is struggling, then it could be lights out for them. And to say that 5 weeks ago, you would have been cracking jokes.
You would have laughed at me.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. So the turning point for me, the goal before halftime for the Mariners. So the crowd were already a little bit deflated and silenced a little after going 1-0 down. But there's a free kick for a challenge on Storm Roo, and the Adelaide players just switch off for a minute. They allow Enkalolo to pick up the ball, drive towards goal, and he gets a lovely shot off into the bottom corner that, to be honest, not much that Gauci could have done about it. It was a brilliant finish. But
isn't he a joy to watch, Benny Enkalolo?
When he's moving with the ball, he just sort of glides. He just glides through the air, and it was a lovely finish. Granted, he didn't have much pressure on him. The Adelaide players were just standing there watching him. Maybe they were in awe of the way he plays as well. But no, he's been. He looks
like he's maybe in 2nd or 3rd gear, right? Like he doesn't need to get to 4th or 5th because he's just cruising, right? But if you've got an engine like that, you don't need to hit 5th, and be going as hard as you possibly. He just looks like he's just doing it so easy.
And what a find! He came from the 3rd division in France. I think he was I think he might have been at Nancy, who got relegated last year from League Two. So a great pickup from
smart,
them.
Smart shopping from the Mariners
very
again.
Good shopping from the Mariners. What I would have changed, I would have had Irankunda from the start. You got to go out there and you got to.
But what are we waiting for? Like, is he only allowed a certain amount of minutes because of his age? Like, are they only allowed 12? Like, he's had enough opportunities now where he's gone out and keeps scoring off the bench, right? Surely, if nothing else, you reward the kid for his performances off the bench, isn't that? I know you're going to say,
look,
you can't be disrespectful to other older players, and that he's if you're in the first team, wouldn't matter your age. His form this season warrants a start.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know he had a few attitude issues at the start of the season where he was in the squad and then out of the squad. But yeah, and I know Jovanovic, the young kid up front, 17-year-old, is a great footballer as well. But Irankunda's just got that. He's got that X factor. He's got that spark. He puts fear into the defenders, and he can create something out of nothing. And I think Andy Harper dropped a bit of a bombshell in the broadcast saying that he's on the way to sign for Bayern Munich, who are a top 5 club in the world, along with Real Madrid, Barca, United, and Liverpool. So
amazing news.
But this kid still hasn't started a game in the A-League.
Yeah, but amazing news. Not great for Adelaide fans, but you got to wish him the best if he's going to an opportunity like that. But I also hope that he announced double news is that Harper's leaving and going somewhere else, maybe the Guitar League or something. That'd be fantastic. Yeah,
do not tell Andy Harper any of your secrets because
100%.
He will tell everyone. But yeah, look, phenomenal match from the Mariners. That they were great and thoroughly deserved the 4-1 win.
As good as Irakunda is, right? He's only value to you when you put him on and you're 1-0 down, or not when you're 4-1 down.
Yeah,
it's no use to you then.
Exactly.
You go out with your rocket launcher and it's just too late.
Exactly.
Like, it's already game over. So all right, job well done from Monty's men, the Mariners. The second of the Friday games was first versus, I think at the time it was first versus third or first versus fourth, whatever it was at the time. But Melbourne City hosting Western Sydney Wanderers. The final score was 3-2. This is my match of the round, so it was 3-2 to Melbourne City, the premiers. The goal scorers were Borello, surprise, in the 41st, Tilio equalising in the 49th, Milanovic restoring Wanderers' lead in the 74th, J-Mac equalising in the 75th, and then Tilio strikes again in the 93rd. Probably player of the match for me, probably in his farewell season in the A-League, was Marco Tilio, who was untouchable. 2 goals and also won the penalty that City unfortunately couldn't convert, but he was just everywhere. Every time he had the ball, he was dangerous. It looked like he had it on a string. So I think the Wanderers, they probably wouldn't say this to you if you asked them, but they were panicking every time he touched the ball. And I think Rudin was probably wishing that he touched the ball less, because if he had, they'd probably get something out of the game. So absolute 5-star performance from Marco Tilio, and goes alongside the Mariners' performance of Tulio. So it's like tomato, Tilio, Tulio.
I want to start calling myself Telio. But Rudin played young Aiden Simmons at right back, and to be honest, Tilio just tore him to shreds.
He had a good game last week. Was a big difference playing one of the best prospects in the country.
And he's been good. He's been great at right back. Don't get me wrong, but you're playing against, like you said, one of the best wingers in the league, who's electric
and direct as hell,
and just a handful for all defenders. So I think maybe that was a mistake from Marco Rudin.
Yeah, look, for me, the turning point was Wanderers just ran out of gas, leading 2-1 with 17 to go. City scored 2, had a penalty saved, and numerous other good chances. So I think, unfortunately, when your fuel light's on, right, it's just too late. You got to pull into the nearest servo, and they just had nothing left. And I don't know if that's just because City are just so damn good, and they
went 2-1 up, and they drove past the servo, right? They just kept driving, and then a minute later they cop a goal, and it's back to 2-2. So
yeah, it's just frustrating, isn't it? You've given so much for that part of the game, and it's not like you copped a late equal. They just came at them, and they had chance after chance after chance, and it was like, is this the same team? Is this the same game?
The petrol light went on, and they thought, no, we'll run the risk. There's only a couple of Ks to go, and they got caught out.
Yeah, look, yes, I suppose what I would have done to change, and I think you've touched on the first part, which is around the fact that you've put a young, inexperienced with a lot of potential defender. Simmons on.
Yeah, but he's an attacker naturally. He's an
Yeah,
attacker,
he is.
so he's still got a lot to learn in that position.
He does, but also you've got him giving him the job of tagging Tilio, who when he's hot, right? And if he's not, he's not. But he was. This is a night where he was absolutely on fire. So he took him to school, and Rudin used his subs, and he tried to win the game, but City were just too fit and powerful in the last 20 minutes, and they've just got such a depth on their bench, and it's just really, really hard to beat them. And you need to be at your best for 90 plus minutes, right? So very rarely do they have an off day. So you just have to be better than them. And it doesn't happen often, but when it does, you earn your win, and they just couldn't, it was a good performance from Wanderers. They'll get confidence from that playing against City in Melbourne, heading into a final series. But unfortunately for them, they just weren't good enough on the day. So that's how it finished, 3-2 to the Premiers. So moving on to the first of the Saturday games. And I think this was all 4 Saturday games. There was nothing on the Sunday. It was 4-0 on the Saturday. So the first of those games was the Macarthur Bulls at home to Wellington Phoenix. The Bulls' chances had passed, but the Phoenix still had plenty to play for. The final score was 1-0 to the Kiwis. Not a vintage performance from the Phoenix, and also riding their luck as the Bulls thumped the crossbar in stoppage time, but the win was all that mattered in securing their spot in the finals.
Yeah, look, Macarthur have been disappointing. Wellington get an important win going into the final series, and that'll give them a little bit of confidence. But the Bulls sort of they just drifted off into non-existence in this second half of the season, pretty much. Very disappointing from them. And like I said, for Wellington, good to get that win. Give them a bit of a confidence boost going into this weekend's game against Adelaide.
Yeah, look, if we said that the Wanderers had their fuel light on, these guys have got no petrol card, right? So there's even if there's a petrol station, then
standing on the side of the highway
trying to hitchhike. 100%.
Yeah.
So the second of the Saturday games was Sydney FC versus Newcastle Jets. I think the Jets were already done and dusted, but Sydney need a bit of a confidence boost heading into the final series. What happened here?
Jets were already in their jet, getting away. But no, just a clinical performance from Sydney FC. Pretty much what we come to expect of them, or what we have expected of them over recent years. That they were, Newcastle didn't put up much of a fight, but Sydney were just clinical in front of goal. Lafondra opening the scoring, and then good to see Patrick Wood come on and grab a goal as well in the second half. So, they're gaining a bit of momentum and a bit of there's a bit more positivity around Sydney FC going into the finals. I guess the only blemish, young Jaden Kaczarski saw red for 2 yellows after coming on as a substitute, so he'll miss the game this weekend.
Next to the Saturday games was Melbourne Victory versus Brisbane Roar. Both teams just playing for pride. The final score here was 1-0 to the away team, Brisbane Roar. It wasn't the prettiest of counterattacks, but it was an important one. Jordan Courtney Perkins finishing off the move that gave the Roar the win and helped them to leapfrog the victory. A nice way to end the season for Brisbane, but another one that got away for Melbourne.
Yeah, look, Victory have been disappointing all year, so to speak. They came back. They had a little sniff, a slight chance of maybe going on a bit of a run to get into the finals, but overall just a disappointing year for both teams. I think Brisbane Roar, although they finished up with 8th, not too bad, but Victory finishing up second last and 11th is a big failure. The
final of the game of the A-League regular season for 2022-23 was the Perth Glory welcoming Western United, and Diamante in his final, or Diamagic in his final game. What was the score here, and how did you see this one?
Yeah, it ended up 2-1 to Western United. Goals to Ben Garuccio and Bodic for United, and Keegan Jelisic for Perth Glory. So
Perth how much are Western United liking you? Because you told us a long time ago now that you said that the champions from last year will not make the 6 this year. There's no hope in hell they'll make it. You were spot on the money.
Yeah, I don't know if no hope in hell was the words.
Yeah, you were very confident. You were very confident.
I was very confident. I just thought with the recruitment they did, and just the vibe around the club, like they still don't have a home ground. The fan base isn't that strong. I just thought they would struggle. And obviously Diamante was out for a majority of the season as well. And but in saying that, I don't know. I just had a feeling that they weren't gonna make the 6. And and because I knew it was going to be a tough ask for them to go, back into the finals and potentially go back to back. I just couldn't see it happening with the squad they had. One last rally behind to send off their hero, Alessandro Diamante, with a win in his final game before retirement, and also top of Stanley as well. So I just love him. I love Diamante. We're going to lose so much, not having him in the league. I love his
the master and the servant, the amazing Diamante, and the fantastic servant.
Oh yeah,
top or Stanley.
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Like he's been in the league for how many years now? Always played at a consistent level, always given his all. But yeah, Diamante, what a guy! Just his positive energy, his smile, his enthusiasm for the game. What is he? I think he's 39 at the moment. So what a guy, and he will be missed, and so will Topper Stanley.
Look, both getting out, I think, at the right time. So it's important to know when your time's up and go out on as high a note as you can. I think they both chosen wisely. That's the end of our Revolutionised Round-Up. Up after the break, we welcome to the player escape room a Kiwi international ready for finals football. Wellington Phoenix's Clayton Lewis joins us for a chat. Catch you after the break.
You're listening to the Football Revolution.
Joining us now in the player escape room is a man who is as important part of his club as he is his country. Please welcome to the show Wellington Phoenix Kiwi international midfielder Clayton Lewis. G'day, mate. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Mate, it's great to have you here. And firstly, it's great to see you back on the pitch after rupturing your patella against the Mariners in January. You missed 7 games and only just returned against Adelaide, and you've put a few together. But I think for the Phoenix, it's huge to have their key man in the centre of the park back on the pitch.
Yeah, it was a tough moment to get injured at that point. I think we had a good run of results. I think we went 4 on the bounce. Got injured and then kind of took a little blip for a while, and then had a good result against Western while I was out, and then now I've come back. Can't seem to win, so I'm not sure it's a big thing having me back at the moment, but I'm happy to be back.
Mate, if I had a choice of having no Lewis in my midfield or having Lewis, it's a no-brainer. It's 100 out of 100 Lewis in my midfield. But, mate, you guys were doing really well for my fantasy team at one point, and now I think I'm steering clear of you. But at one said I had Cray Evans, Zawada, and the boys all give me max points, and it's dried up a bit. But the team earlier in the season, mate, as we said, we're pushing for a top 2 finish, but without a win in 5 games and a few poor results in the period before that, it's pushed you down the table. The team just needs at least a point against the Bulls this weekend to secure a final spot. How's the vibe in the squad? Is it still positive? I know there's been obviously talk about players leaving as well as the coach leaving, and that's all, nothing that we can control. But is there still a good vibe in the squad?
Yeah, for sure. I think, after the game last weekend, we're all very disappointed. I think it was a performance that we aren't proud of, and I think it's now given us a kind of fresh mind to kind of attack what's been going wrong. And I think this week we've definitely started with a bit more fun and bringing back kind of what we had earlier on, just knowing what we're good at and trying to go back to that. And I think definitely the boys are a lot, I would say, happier than what we were middle of last week. So I think we're all raring to go. And I mean, needing only a point is a little bit scary as well. I think you can sometimes approach the game knowing that you don't need to win, so you just set up not to lose. But I think the boys this week have been, we've been at it. And I think, training's been very intense, and we're definitely going for the win, that's for sure.
Look, nothing but a win would be the ideal prep for you guys. But in saying that too, Perth and that still have to get the job done. So there's a lot to be done, but hopefully you guys can get the point or points you need to secure your final spot. But mate, this week on Saturday evening, you secure your final spot. The team hasn't been in the best form, but has plenty of quality all across the park. Should the other teams be scared of the Phoenix, who have nothing to lose, coming to the playoffs?
I think so. I think we showed at the start of the season that we could, be up around the first or second. I think we've shown glimpses of just how good we can be, and it's only really recently that we've taken a little dip in that form, but. We're a team that I think on any given day can beat anyone. But then you look at the league table, and everyone's gained so many points against different opposition. So I know MacArthur are sitting at the bottom, but there's no easy game in the A-League. So it's definitely one to scratch our heads and knuckle down and get that win.
Mate, it is a pretty even competition, and it just goes to show that if you are slightly off your game like you were against the Wanderers, you can be punished. But like I said, with the quality you have across the park, there's no reason you can't bounce back. And as proven by Adelaide, 10 on the trot and then 2 average performances. So you're only as good as your last performance. One of the things I put it down to, and like I said, I'm not here analysing the Phoenix squad, and I'm sure Fuck and the rest of the lads there do that, but it wasn't great timing having Oscar have a child. I know it's great for him and his family, but all of a sudden he was unstoppable and you guys were winning games, and all of a sudden he takes a couple of daddy daycare days, and now all of a sudden the team started to hit a dip. So hopefully now that his son's been born, we can get back to business as usual.
Yeah, I'm not sure if his little man's taking a few dumps a bit too much, and they might smell a bit. But no, he's a top quality striker. I think he's proven that he can score goals. It's just about putting them in those areas and getting him on the end of those. He's a big presence. So yeah, it's definitely something we need to kind of go back to, and we know his strengths, so we just need to make sure we keep going to those.
Mate, moving a little bit into international football. So with 22 caps for the All Whites, a goal and an assist in the World Cup qualifiers, you face Costa Rica in a winner-takes-all match. You concede after only 3 minutes, and then Costa is harshly sent off, which hurts your chances of finding an equaliser with 20 to go. And unfortunately, you do not qualify for the 2022 World Cup. As a playing group, is that even more fuel to get it right and qualify for the 2026 World Cup in USA, Mexico or Canada? Or is this just a brand new, another 4 years we qualify? Or does it give you that burning desire to fix what, you kind of was harshly taken off you?
Yeah, I think it was extremely disappointing that we didn't get through. I think, we scored a legitimate goal as well. I think, the foul that was given was extremely harsh, I think. And then, Costa coming on and, doing what he did. It didn't help the team, but I think, we were still in the game after that. And, we created chances and, we didn't quite put those away. But, now we got a new coach. We're not too sure who that is yet. But the last window, we worked with Darren Baisley, and we got 2 good results against China. It was 0-0 the first game, and then we won the second game. So I think it's a step forward, and hopefully we can continue that come the June window, and then so on and so forth after that.
Mate, should I be booking my tickets to watch you play in the World Cup in 2026? Are you confident?
I'm confident. It's definitely a lot. I wouldn't say easier, but having that automatic spot from Oceania is a big boost for us.
Yeah, it's huge.
And I think the island teams are so unpredictable. I think they've got so many Fileri attacking weapons from those island teams. It's just about trying to catch them out defensively, and hopefully we can be on that plane.
Look, I know everyone wants to play the World Cup, but just quietly, I think USA, Mexico, and Canada is a lot nicer venue than Qatar.
Hey, I love Qatar. Actually, we just couldn't actually do too much because of COVID and whatnot. But it'll hopefully be back to a proper World Cup.
Yeah, that'd be nice, mate. I know you spent some time in the UK. Is there still overseas ambitions? You're still young. You're still producing the goods, and barring an injury, you probably would have had your best season by far. Not to say you haven't produced in the past, but you were outstanding this year until the injuries come along, and hopefully you get back to that in the final series. But is there still overseas ambitions?
Yeah, 100%. I think you always want to, well, as a footballer, you always want to play at the highest level. I went over to England, I wouldn't say too early, but at an opportunity that I couldn't really turn down. I was playing amateur football in Auckland, and then a contract came up at a League One side in Scunthorpe, and I took it with both hands. And unfortunately, it didn't work out. We had, I think, in my 2 seasons, I went through 5 coaches. So for me, that was a big eye opener. And just as I was kind of getting a chance to come off the bench and start a game, he'd get sacked, and then the next one would come in, and I'd have to start all over again. So it's a little bit of a weird moment in my career, but it definitely helped me, I think, defensively in my game, and that transition into a 6. I'm not sure if you knew, but I used to be a creative 10, and score some goals. But definitely transitioning into a 6 has definitely helped my game defensively.
Nice. All right, mate, you've passed that with flying colours. Let's get into the first game. I like to play with my guests, which is 6-a-side, where I ask you 6 questions comparing you to you and your Phoenix teammates. But firstly, let me give you a little bit of a warning. So I played this with Steve Ugarkovic. He said that he had better dress sense than you, as Clay is black on black with trainers.
Black on black.
Yeah,
That's
so,
so
yeah.
bullshit.
So I'm telling you this is what he told me. So he said, Clay's black on black with trainers, and I have a bit of colour. So he did promise me if he got you as a Chris Kringle, he would buy you some colour. So that's what Steve's told me. And Oscar Zawada said he takes longer than you in the shower, and that he's always last. So he was quite nice to you. I think Ugarkovic ditched you.
Yeah, well, Stevie's he was one of those players who early on in the season when you probably spoke to him. It was me and Roof playing.
Okay.
So he's probably a bit
Probably
pissed that he wasn't playing. But
He was probably a bit salty with you, but
yeah,
I know he's a big fan. I know he's a big fan, and he thinks that you add so much to the team. So, look, I think if anyone's going to ever give me a straight answer, I think it was him.
yeah. Nah, Stevie's a great bloke. I think we had a good connection before he even came to the club. So, yeah, having him here has been a funny season. But no, he's a top quality player as well, and I enjoy playing with him.
All right, you ready to roll?
Let's do it.
Okay, who is more likely to be late to training or to the airport for an away game, you or Sam Sutton?
Oh, that's
I try my best to match this up well, right? To make
yeah,
it right.
yeah.
So I do try, and the boys quite often say to me, the guests, mate, you got that one spot on. It's like, I don't know everything about the players, but I do try my best.
Yeah, well, me and Suts lived together last year in Sydney. But this year he's living with Lawsy, and Lawsy can be late at times. And I'm obviously by myself, so I know I can get there on time. So I'm going to go Suts is going to be late for sure.
All right, mate. Good. See what happens when you lose quality like you alongside you. You end up just falling behind the rest of the pack, right?
Exactly.
All right. Who is the better roommate, you or Callan Elliott?
Oh, it's definitely me. I think I've been rooming with Costa, and I think if anyone asks Costa, I'm a great roommate. Cal's a bit of a grub.
Okay.
Just clothes and everything is everywhere. So it's definitely me for sure.
All right. What about in the national team? Who do you normally get to room with, or is it just random?
It's Costa as well, actually.
Costa as well.
Yeah. So me and
what a duo.
Yeah, I mean he's basically my dad. He's that old. But we get along really well. I think we both grew up playing for Olympic in Wellington, the Greek side there. So it's definitely. I actually only really met him properly in the national team. And then since he kind of told me he was coming back to the Knicks, it was a big positive for me knowing that we'd played together before. But yeah, Costa, we've roomed together for a while now.
Yeah, he's a champion guy. Who would make the better Hollywood actor, you or Alex Rufer?
Oh, I think Roos. I think he's got the little quiff of the hair. I think and a little bit of makeup, and he'll be good to go. I think if anyone saw his All Access, he was acting up a little bit, but I think Roos would definitely be a lot better.
All right, look, if we did go down that path, his would probably be maybe romantic comedies. Yours would be action. That would probably be the way we'd be going, though.
Surely.
That'd have to be the way to go, right?
Yeah, give me the guns and the flips, and I'll be there.
Yeah, 100%. Who gets noticed more in the street, you or Oscar Zawada?
I think it's got to be Oscar. I think he's a big presence, so anyone walking along the street will be looking up to him, and I think he's definitely scored enough goals for people around Wellington to realise who he is. Although I'm from Wellington, so you'd like to think that maybe someone might recognise me, but hasn't happened just yet, so I'm still waiting for that one.
Mate, I find that hard to believe. Like I said, I've picked a big star in the A-League, but I've also picked a big star who is a Kiwi, right? Not a Polish man. So I reckon you're getting spotted, quite often, but I think you're too modest to tell us that.
I think maybe in terms of football, footballers that know football, I think would recognise probably Oscar. But in terms of just general public, maybe myself might have that one.
Okay. I remember I was out a few years ago in Bondi, and I saw Ndombele, who plays for Spurs, and I'm a big Spurs fan. Not one person there recognised him. I almost fell over 10 times trying to get to him to go over and say g'day. But it goes to show, right, sometimes Australians don't understand. They'd recognise a cricketer or an AFL guy, but you've got a guy like Ndombele who's world class, absolute class. No one even went over and said a word to him.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think when I was in England, I think the first time I saw Jordan Henderson in the Nike store, and just walking around, no one around him, like people just walking straight past him. I was going, what the hell is going on here? This guy plays in the Premier League and no one's talking to him. So I thought, I'm asking for a photo. Got a photo, and then all of a sudden now 3 or 4 people come up and ask. I'm like, did no one realise? Like, or is it just normal? Like,
Well, he shared it as well because he said he got one with Clayton Lewis. That's what the rumor on the street
Yeah.
was. So
yeah, I had a couple shoes and I think he paid for them. But
all right, mate. I think I might have seen this. I might have had a crystal ball and seen this one coming, but this is all stuff I locked in prior to our chat. Who sucks up to the coach more, you or Costa Barbarouses?
oh, you know what? I think we both definitely don't.
Okay.
But
All right, then. So I'll make you two immune. Then, is there a player here you're happy to stitch and say he just goes that little extra mile and he doesn't need to because he's a good bloke or he's a good player? He doesn't need to do it, but they just can't help themselves and they just have to go over and make sure they're always like in the coach's view or seem to be a favourite.
I'm gonna go Ben Old.
Okay, as he
I think,
does.
every time he does something good, he might do the little like look over to the coach just to see if he's seen. And then when he does see, he's expecting like well done, oldie, or anything like that. But yeah, I'll go Ben Old for that.
All right. And the last one, who is more likely to pick up the bill if you go out for a team dinner or lunch and someone has to pick up the bill, you or Jan Suss?
I think me. Jan can't even speak English.
But but you don't need to just swipe your gold Amex, right? You just have to just roll it across the counter. Isn't that how
I'd like to think him being a foreigner for our club, he'll be on a decent wedge and we'll get it. But he probably doesn't even know what bill means. So
okay.
Yeah, but I'd say probably me. But in terms of the whole squad, I reckon the skipper. I think Alex Rufer would step up for sure.
Oh, he does. Is he a big gentleman like that? The skipper will happily go and pay the bill.
Yeah, I think that's why he's captain, isn't it?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. All right, mate. I'll throw in an extra one here just to give you a chance to be able to throw someone under the bus.
Yeah.
When you walked into the club and you signed for the Phoenix, what's one thing you knew you were better at than a teammate? So anything there, whether it's manners, whether it's this or that, or I train harder in the gym. Is there something you knew straight away? There's that teammate there. I've got that guy, that sucker covered.
I think in terms of this year, I thought Bojida Krajev was very rude. I thought he was, I thought when he asked for things, if we go out for meals or anything, there was no manners whatsoever.
Yep.
I'm not sure if that was just because of where he's from.
Yep.
So after 1 or 2 times, I had to say something, and he had no idea that it was people didn't care or anything like that. And since then, he's been top guy. And I think in terms of my first season, I think just the way Josh Laws was in the gym, he had a squat rack, but was just sitting in the squat, not even getting up, just holding it there.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this guy doing? He had proper gym shoes on, with the straps and all sorts. I was like, nah.
That's for TikTok. That's not for training.
Yeah.
That's for TikTok.
I was like, this guy, I'm not sure about this guy. It took a while to come around, but he's a sound guy now, Lawsy.
I was going to say you fixed him as well, but it's quite funny, right? Because I think it may have something to do with that European side of things with Krajev. But there's this funny place in Sydney called Karen's. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's a restaurant.
I have heard of it.
Where they abuse the hell out of you, right? They tell you off and they say you're ugly and this and that, and they don't. and so we could have sent him there, couldn't we? Krajev would love it. That'd be his heaven.
Yeah, he would have gone off at them too.
That's what I'm saying. They'll think he's in character. They're going to think, how good is this customer? Not realizing. And the thing is, you don't care if your Karens what your reviews are because they're going to say, oh, yeah, customer service was rubbish. But that's the plan.
Exactly. Maybe that's what BK can do after football. I'm
Yeah.
going to make sure there's one in Bulgaria and get him there.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. All right, mate, let's get into the second game I like to play, which is called 1-2, where I'll give you a few topics and you just tell me your thoughts on it.
Sweet.
What song best describes you? Could be an anthem. It could be something that motivates you. It could be any of those. Just something that if people go, yeah, straight away, if I ask your closest friends or your girlfriend or family and that, they'd say, oh, yeah, that's 100% Clayton Lewis song.
I think in terms of if you said to me, what karaoke song would you sing?
Yep.
I'd go, I Want It That Way.
Okay.
Backstreet Boys. I think that's my go-to. Although in England, for my initiation, I did the haka.
Okay, quality.
So,
awesome.
Yeah, there was something a bit different, but something the boys wanted to kind of experience. So I'd say in terms of song, probably I Want It That Way.
Okay.
Not in terms of the lyrics.
Yeah, but it seems at the moment, mate, you're having it your way, mate. You've got 22 caps. You're flying in the A-League, so I think it is your way at the moment. But
there you go.
I did have singing and karaoke on the list as well, so we'll skip to that one quickly. Are you a good singer? So, Haka, you'd be great, but I'm talking, I want it that way. Backstreet Boys saying we're going on tour. Oh, God, we need someone in New Zealand. Yeah, Clayton Lewis can join, or they're going to say, we'll call you, don't call us.
I think, I like to say maybe if 100% was like pitch perfect, I'd like to say I was about 60%.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm a bit above average. I've definitely heard worse, and especially in the team.
Who's the worst?
Oh, I think BK would probably be up there.
He's up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know, me and Suts living together last year, he'd get the guitar out and we'd bust out a few tunes.
Is he good on the guitar? The old
Yeah, he's good on the
Yep.
guitar. He's a bit
Yep.
shy on the guitar, but get him a few drinks and he's right there, strumming a few songs. So no, it's I think me and Suts would be up there.
Yeah, beautiful. Your cooking skills, considering you live by yourself, I'm hoping they're half decent, but chances are no.
Yeah, nah. Like, I like to say I'm good, but nah, they'd be lying. I think definitely when my missus is here, she's definitely one that's in the kitchen more. Although it's definitely not what she wants. She's been at work all day. She doesn't want to come home to then cook for me. So it's definitely something I'm getting better at, and I think hopefully next season she'll forgive me for all those times.
Well,
And
the problem is, right, mate, because you are an athlete and you have to fuel yourself properly. It's not like you go to an office job, you can eat whatever you want, roll down the street and be unfit. You've got to be at your peak, right? So is it lack of skills or just lack of interest that you don't cook?
I think it's just I think lack of interest. I think just timing as well. Like, something easy is so much better,
Yeah.
like knowing you only have to, I don't know, 5-10 minutes rather than a 25-30 minute very healthy dinner. I'd much rather go for the easy option.
Mate, I hate to tell you this, but I think you've put a target on your back, because last year we did a cook-off with Sydney FC and the Wanderers, and we had Reece Williams and Luke Bratton cooking with Master Chef Manu Fidel. If we ever get another one off the ground, I'd be so tempted to bring you in, mate. I just think it'd be amazing viewing, watching you in there. I just think it'd be absolute showstopper.
I might delete your number, eh?
That's all right. Yeah, no problems. Well, look, what about if I just find someone worse? If I can tell you someone you're matching you up with who's worse, then that might be an option.
If you could bring Ben Wayne back from the UK, I'll go up against him.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that'd be quality against Benny Wayne. Look, who knows? Like I said, I know he's going well over there, but he may get homesick. He's still a young lad, so there's still opportunity for that to happen.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I think there was an option where he could have gone the year before, and I think a lot of the boys chatted to him and kind of told him they thought he could do with one more year. And then kind of he had a good year last year, and I think I think he had every right to take that move. And he got a little injury recently, so he's kind of been in and out of the squad. But I think he'll definitely get the chance he needs. I think they're in a top quality position at the moment where they could get automatic promotion, and then however it goes, but he could get loaned out to, say, the same league he's in at the moment and play 46 games next year, and just skyrocket from there. So hopefully for his sake he does that, and hopefully his wage goes up as well when they go up.
He deserves all the success he gets.
Yeah,
mate. Ulfak Talay, few words about him. Thoughts?
Yeah, for me, he was a big kind of contributor to me playing how I played the last couple of seasons. I think when I was in England, I came back to amateur football at Auckland City and hoping that I would sign for the Phoenix a year later when COVID happened, and it kind of all worked out, and he gave me that chance, and I think I've just grown since he's brought me in, and I think it's a big credit and big thank you to him, and whatever he decides to do now, I wish him all the best, and hopefully it's on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, look, it's big shoes to fill, but I'm sure Giancarlo will have a fair crack at it. But celebrity crush?
It's always been Mila Kunis.
Okay, still is, always will be.
Yeah, I think so. I think even Margot Robbie's up there a bit.
I get that a few times, and most of the time I ask him what movies do you like her in, and I can't get him to tell me one movie, so I kind of get the gist of that, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. You just know the person, that's it.
Mate, is there, extending on to that, is there a Kiwi player or a footballer that you've kind of looked up to, or that's inspired you to get to where you are today?
Growing up, it was actually Costa.
Okay.
I think.
He's that old.
Yeah, he's that old.
Yeah, he's-
Well, because he obviously played at Olympic, like I said earlier, and kind of his career just kind of went from there. And when I started playing for Olympic, that's the same route I kind of wanted to go on. And we've ended up now, being quite close friends, so that's pretty cool. But in terms of national team and whatnot, I think I've always looked up to Leo Burdos as well. I think he was the delivery and what he had in his career was top quality.
yeah, nice. Are you talented at any other sports?
Oh, I like to say basketball.
Are you good?
I used to play until I was about 13, 14, and then I stopped growing. So I thought that's probably not the best sport for me. But I love basketball. I've got a 3v3 basketball court at our training ground at the moment. So I'm there shooting a couple of hoops every day with a couple of the boys. So it's
Who likes to get on the boards with you?
Stevie actually.
Okay.
He's no good after today's performance, but yeah. Who else comes along? Lawsy comes along, but horrible technique. Couple of years ago,
That's from lack of gym work, right? That's what happens to Lawsy.
Yeah, just squatting. You don't need your glutes for that. But I think 2 years ago we played a lot in Wollongong as well, and James McGarry was down there with me all the time as well.
Okay, nice. Something you've always wanted to do but never tried.
Guitar.
Okay.
I think seen Suts on it a lot last year. Wanted me to kind of start. I started briefly this year, and then my fingers got sore, so I kind of stopped for a while, and it's kind of just gone downhill since then. And just when you can't hit that note, it's just so frustrated.
You don't need your fingers. You don't do throw-ins that often. You just need your feet, mate.
Yeah, my hands aren't big enough. I think that's the thing. As soon as I have to push the string, it just starts hurting. But I think also golf. I think a lot of the boys play golf, but there's too many just frustrating moments. I went with my brothers the other day, and I hit a nice one straight onto the green. I was buzzing, and then about 3-putted. So then that sense of satisfaction of that I'm good just quickly went out the window.
Well, my I suppose the best way to describe a pro golfer, and based on my own experiences, is the fact that pro golfers can putt and drive at the same time on the same day in the same course. I only do one or the other, and that's why I shoot 150, right? So a pro golfer to me is someone that can do both at the same time, and I can't do that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think straight off the drive, I was like, oh, I'm so good. And then, that quickly changed, and my brothers are laughing.
Did you beat your brothers at least?
Beat one brother, the other brother won, but the other brother plays a lot. So
lucky you got two, so at least he didn't come last, right?
Yeah, exactly. He was on holiday, so I kind of try to keep him happy and say he did very well.
All right. What motivates you to work hard?
I think the people around me. I think just seeing my girlfriend have aspirations of her career. I think she's working extremely hard in the media and wanting to go to bigger and better things. I think she's working on the Women's World Cup, so that's probably the pinnacle of what she can do. So she's already got that. So it's definitely given me some extra motivation to keep pushing in my career and find a place where we can both do our thing together. And it's pretty exciting.
Nice answer. But mate, I know you're a busy man. I know you've got an important game against Macarthur this week, and you probably need a little bit of rest and recovery with your training every single day. But mate, I wish you all the best. I thank you very much for coming on the show and giving a few of your teammates a serve. If they reach out to me, I'll tell them I don't know what they're talking about. But hopefully, mate, like I said, we're locking the finals on Saturday night, and you guys can let loose in the final series and try and go as far as you can. And I wish you all the best with all the other things you're working on. But mate, thanks again once again for coming on the show, and I'll check in with you maybe a little bit later in the year.
Perfect, mate. Thank you very much for having me.
You're listening to the Football Revolution.
Welcome back to the show. A lot of fun chatting with Clayton, a charismatic lad, and we wish him all the best in Friday's elimination final. Now it's the final part of our show, Clinical Finish. Up first, our world-famous WTF, what the foot? Man City striker Erling Haaland in his first season with the club and only 22 years old, 50 goals this season, 34 in the PL, 12 in the Champions League, 3 in the FA Cup, and just throw in a little bonus one in the EFL Cup. Phenomenal. And how can you be that much better than your dad? Like usually you get guys who are world class like that. Their father was a real. His father was a good player, but this guy is a 1 in a billion.
He's a superhuman freak, not from this planet. He's an alien. I don't know.
It's Thor.
He's made in a lab somewhere, honestly. Because
how many will he end up with this season? He's currently got 50.
50. He could hit 60 easy, I reckon.
Yeah. Okay.
He could hit 60.
What? So at the moment, this is already like another planet. But what number takes him just to a level where the Alan Shearers and all these guys are just like also rans around him? If he got to 65 or 70, no one's.
If he gets over 60, I reckon that is just ridiculous.
Okay.
I can't even. I don't know what to say. He's that.
I can better than my dad.
He's that good at He's just that good at finishing, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't do anything else.
Yeah.
You don't want him back on halfway picking up the ball trying to dribble players. You just want him as soon as those players get the ball, gets in the box. And to be honest, he's getting some of the best service ever.
Yeah, he is. But I'll tell you what. Not many players in the world make as good a runs as he does. The way that he runs across the line and then makes his diagonal runs or straightens up, he allows himself to use his speed because there's guys in the league who are fast. They just don't know how to make a run.
There's only one striker in the Premier League that I've seen make runs like that before, and that's Fernando Torres.
Yeah,
in his prime for his first couple of seasons for Liverpool, he was that much quicker than the defenders. His runs were so much smarter than anyone I've ever seen, any striker I've seen in the Premier League. But Haaland's just absolutely next level.
If he gets to 60, will you do a solo on the show of Haaland? Yeah, I know
absolutely. I'm there. If he gets to 60, I'll do whatever.
What makes it worse for me is the fact that being a Dortmund fan is that we lost him. But if we can still win the title without him, that'd be happy days. It'd be happy days. It'd be absolutely fantastic. But it also helps that Lewandowski left as well, which means that it made Bayern a lot weaker than they usually are. So, all right, moving on to games to watch this week. All eyes will be on elimination finals. Friday, Adelaide welcomes the Phoenix in a winner-takes-all clash. And Saturday, it's the Sydney Derby when the Wanderers go to war against Sydney FC with a place in the semi-finals on the line.
Yeah, look, two huge games. Adelaide at home. Let's hope a good crowd turns out there. And
it's a bit of a fizzer, though, isn't it? Though I know we're cheering on our mate Clayton that we've had on the show this week, but let's be honest, they're two teams that are in terrible form. There's probably teams outside the six that would have been more enjoyable to watch than this.
They are honestly. But look, they're there now. They need to make the most of this opportunity.
Tell us though, who does the winner of this game play?
That's a very good question.
I think if they play the Mariners, the Mariners are going, this is absolutely
the Mariners will play Adelaide again any day, and they'll take Wellington any day. But
this is the first time that Sydney Derby's been in the finals, I believe.
It is the first time. Yeah. First time ever a Sydney Derby in the finals. So
this should hopefully this is an advertisement for the game, right? We have a cracking game, a cracking crowd, and people watch and say, this is what the A-League can be, and we start building on this from next season, right? We can stop talking about it. We just have to start doing it.
Yeah, look, we need these next, this final series to really ignite a flame in Australian football and ignite a flame in the fans and really get them excited about next season, because I think this season's been a little disappointing from an external perspective. The football's been great, I think.
Yeah, but stop the sabotage, right? Internal sabotage is one of the biggest problems we have.
Yeah, 100%. So people looking in are going like, what is this? How
good would our show be if every single week one of us unplugged the other one's microphone or, stuff the headset up? And that would be horrible. But as a team, you work together. And these guys don't understand that. Like, they go out there and they just do things that are totally non-beneficial for others in the game or for other clubs or for other people or for fans. So it's just like, wake up, mate.
Look, you got to put the fans first, and I think the APL and the league they must learn from this season. And let's get through this final series. Hopefully, there's a bit of hype. There's some great football, maybe some fairy tale endings. Who knows? And then let's start with a clean slate for next season and start building again.
Give us a name: Adelaide or Phoenix?
Adelaide.
I'm going to go Phoenix. Sydney FC or Wanderers?
I am going to go Sydney FC.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Wanderers. All right, we'll split it.
We'll split it. We'll see next week.
We'll see how we go. We'll see how we go. And then they go to face the informed Mariners and City in a 2-leg semi-final, which will be interesting, and we'll see what happens because you can't just think about 90 minutes. You have to think at 180 minutes, right? Plus. And so you have to plan yourself over 2 legs, which this is a bigger challenge for the players and for the coaching staff, right? To make sure you're ready for 2, because if you turn up for one and not the other, you get your pants pulled down.
Cactus.
Yeah, it is 100%. You're fucked. Yeah, you're fucked, or you're fucked. All right. So our TFR fantasy update. This is the final round. So we don't create this competition. We just play it. So unfortunately, they've pulled the pin now. I don't know if it's just because there's only 6 teams left, but once the regular season finishes, they are also done. But my round score was 98. My final score, 2,164. Everybody knows that's not enough to beat you after I led the whole way and then ran out of gas. So talking on that topic, it wasn't good enough. What did you end up with this round?
You must have made 11 subs and just copied my team, because I ended up with 98 as well.
Yeah, what are the chances?
Taking my total to 2,203.
No,
2,230.
Yeah, too good, mate. Way too good for me. Like I said, you can lead. You're only as good as the last 100 meters, and my 100 wasn't good enough. You just ran over top me, and I think other than this week, you've had 6 or 7, sub hundreds. And just way too good, and I just wasn't good enough. But I made no changes. I reinstated Captain Zawada, who got me 28. Aldred got me 16, and Thomas 13. Cold was the usually reliable Williams and Neuenhoff. My mistake, leaving Reyes on the bench, who got me 10, and Miller, who got me 7 on the Pines. So my mistake. Who did the damage for you? I know it was probably just you in general, not just your team, but you've killed me the last 10 weeks.
I've stayed loyal for the last 10, 12 weeks, I think. So I don't think I've made any subs. So my boys, Ryan Grant at the back and Lawrence Thomas, both picked up 13. Henry Hoare, who's been a big find for me, with 14, and then Lolly up top with 14, and McLaren 12 doing the damage. And
maybe next year I'll make it harder for you. We just say no subs, right? Because you haven't used any anyway, so we just make it no subs. Yeah, see how we go, and there'll be weeks where you have 1 or 2 players, but at least we'll be in the same boat. If you missed any part of the show or want to listen to other episodes, where can they catch it?
Yeah, they can catch us on all good podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, also up on Football Nation Radio across their platforms, and up on our YouTube channel as well.
Mate, exciting news. We've got some more cracking guests coming up. I can't give too much away, but we're probably going to have to go back to back, right? We're going to have to be Sydney FC women's, or even, some of these other classic teams. We're going to have probably 2 player escape rooms. We might even have a player /
we might have to do the Melbourne City back to back to back.
Yeah, we might have to. So we've got plenty coming in. Like I said, that's what happens when people like what you do. You start getting a little bit of interest, and people chasing and want to come on and have a chat with us. So we're more than happy to, with open arms, take in these big stars and get them talking, and so you can hear the human side of them. 2 exciting elimination finals this week. Let the best team win. Best teams win. We set up, which will set up 2 sensational semi-finals the following week. We thank our guest, Clayton, and we wish him all the best. We hope you enjoyed the show even half as much as we enjoy bringing it to you, and look forward to your company again next Tuesday. As we say, until then, rise up and join the football revolution. Have a fantastic week. Enjoy the finals, and we'll see you then.